50,000 elite Persian warriors, the heaviest, most unstoppable cavalry in the world, came to crush the Eastern Romans into dust. But instead of a triumph, they rode straight into a meat grinder. Facing them were just 25,000 demoralized Roman soldiers and a young, relatively unknown general named Belisarius. A head-on clash meant certain death, but Belisarius devised a plan that shattered all the rules of ancient warfare. Today, you'll discover how this insane zigzag trap worked, how sheer arrogance doomed the Persian elite, and how one man saved an empire from total collapse. The year is 530 AD. The border between the Byzantine and Sasanian empires is burning. Persian commander Perozes leads a massive army toward the Roman fortress of Dara. He is so utterly confident in victory that he sends an arrogant message to Belisarius. "Prepare a bath for me in Dara, for tomorrow I shall bathe there." Perozes had every reason to be cocky. The core of his army consisted of elite cataphracts and the legendary Jayadan, the Immortals. These were the tanks of the 6th century, both men and horses entirely encased in mail armor. And the Romans? The terrifying legions of Julius Caesar were just a distant memory. The infantry was mostly made up of poorly trained recruits who were terrified of the Persian cavalry. Meeting this army in an open field was suicide. Hiding behind the walls of Dara meant surrendering the initiative. But Belisarius had a hidden ace up his sleeve, and to play it, the general had to pick up a shovel, literally. Days before the battle, Belisarius orders a network of deep trenches to be dug right in front of his positions, but not in a straight line. This was a cunning geometric puzzle. The center was pushed back, closer to the city walls. Meanwhile, the flanks were pushed forward. Why? First, the refused center protected his weak infantry from the devastating, momentum-heavy charge of the cataphracts. If the Persians pushed into the center, they would step right into the crossfire of archers firing from the city walls. Second, narrow passages were left between the trenches. Belisarius artificially created fatal choke points where the heavy cavalry would lose their greatest advantages, speed and mass. But the real brilliance lay in the ambushes. In the angles of these trenches, Belisarius hid units of Huns, fierce mercenaries, and master horse archers, and behind a hill on the far left flank, 300 Heruli light cavalry lay in wait. The trap was set. The jaws would snap shut the moment the Persians made their one fatal mistake. On the third day of the standoff, Perozes receives 10,000 fresh reinforcements, including the dreaded Immortals. Now outnumbering the Romans 2-1, Perozes decides to stop playing games. He throws the full might of his heavy cavalry directly at the Roman flanks. But the attack on the Roman left turns into an absolute disaster. The Persian riders get bogged down in the narrow choke points between the trenches. Just as their momentum dies, the hidden Heruli strike from behind the hill, and the Huns burst from the trenches. The elite Roman cavalry counterattacks, completely crushing the Persian flank and leaving 3,000 dead in the dirt. A Roman success, right? But Perozes merely smiled. That was just a warm-up, because right at this moment, an unstoppable storm was brewing on the Roman right flank, a storm that threatened to tear Belisarius's plan to shreds, and with it, the entire Byzantine Empire. The pride of the Sasanians, the Immortal Guard, crashed into the Roman right flank. Despite the trenches, their sheer mass was overwhelming. They literally smashed through the Roman defenses. The Roman cavalry faltered and began a desperate retreat. Smelling blood, the Persians surged forward, eager to get behind the Roman lines and finish the battle. The defense had collapsed. In any other era, this meant the battle was over, but this was exactly what Belisarius had been waiting for. In their bloodlust, the Persians broke the golden rule. They overextended, leaving their own infantry far, far behind. In a flash, the trap snapped shut. Belisarius personally led his elite heavy guard, the Butulari, and smashed into the exposed flank of the Persian vanguard. At the exact same moment, 600 Huns leaped out of the trenches and struck the Persians from the rear. The retreating Roman cavalry immediately wheeled around and rejoined the fight. The heavy Persian elite were suddenly caught in a brutal three-way vice. In the savage melee, the Hunnic commander personally cut down the standard-bearer of the Immortals. Leaderless, exhausted, and trapped in the trenches, the invincible Persian riders panicked. A massive rout began. 8,000 of the Sasanian Empire's finest warriors were left dead in the dust outside Dara. The Romans lost less than 1,000 men. With nothing but a shovel, perfect timing, and nerves of steel, Belisarius proved that tactical genius beats brute force. This battle didn't just save the East. It introduced the world to a commander who history would forever remember as the last of the Romans. 90% of generals in Belisarius's position would have hidden behind the walls of Dara and slowly lost the war. What would you have done? Risked it all in an open field, or played it safe in a siege? Let's debate down in the comments. Subscribe if you love real, raw history, not boring lectures.